Soon we'll be taking, and I'm live. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. All right, it's Tuesday. It's the day of a full moon, right? Last night was the full moon. And it's the eve of my 16th wedding anniversary, which is an amazing thing. And we don't have a babysitter, so not much is going to happen. But I did want to talk about love, wisdom, and folly. I've been rereading Proverbs lately, and I picked up a couple of things this week that I wanted to share. I wanted to talk about love, wisdom, and folly. So in the Talmud, there is a saying or a phrase: west of here, meaning west of Babylon in the land of Israel, when a man marries a woman, they ask him, finds or find? Finds or find? So this is a question which was asked, it was like a common thing that happened there at weddings or after weddings. And it's in reference to two separate verses from Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, respectively. I'll read them now. First is from Proverbs: he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. And the second one is, and I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Who pleaseth God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. That's the second one from Ecclesiastes. So basically, they're asking this dude, finds or find? They're asking him, how's the missus? How's the wifey? How's the old ball and chain? Is she finds or is she find? Is she the first woman who helps her man attain good things and favor in the eyes of the Lord? Or is she the latter, right, the second woman who drags him down into the pits of hell? Ah, such hell. So in all truth, I'm pretty sure I'm talking from my experience only, but I'm thinking this is pretty universal. In every union, you'll find both. You'll find moments of real bliss, of favor, of goodness, and you'll find moments where it's really hell, and you just want to, you don't want to be there. And you're there, you're in the middle of it, and there's almost no running away from it. It can be really hellish, really. The woman, right? The divine feminine, the goddess. The woman has these amazing powers. Now, when I say woman, I don't just mean woman as in human female. I mean the feminine part of us. The feminine and the masculine exist within the man and the woman. So there's a kind of woman or of femininity which is part of the man. And in a healthy man, I believe you find a balance and a combination. You find a way where you express them both in a healthy way, in a productive way, in a constructive way. And the thing with the woman is, since I've been reading Proverbs recently, I came across a few verses in chapter 9. And it struck me as fitting because there's a thread here. So I wanted to talk about that. In chapter 9, like many other chapters in Proverbs, King Solomon compares the ways of wisdom with the ways of folly. So in this chapter, he likens wisdom to a woman. She sits there and calls out from the heights of the city, whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks judgment, she says, come, eat my bread and drink the wine that I have mixed. Leave your folly behind and you will live. Walk in the way of understanding. And after that, there are a few more verses about the virtues of wisdom and a healthy fear of God. And I say healthy fear of God because there's also an unhealthy fear of God that I don't condone, or not, it hasn't been good for me personally. To each his own. So the king likens a woman, right, the wisdom, to a woman who sits on high in a high place and calls out to everyone, whoever is simple, let him come here. To he who lacks judgment, come and I'll show you, I will give you wisdom. And then he likens woman to folly. He likens folly to a woman, rather. He says, she sits at the door of her house on a seat in the heights of the city, calling to those who pass by, who make their paths straight. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks judgment, she says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is tasty. But they do not know, says King Solomon, that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of darkness. Wisdom and folly say the very same phrase, right? The woman, the divine feminine, the temptress. I found it's really amazing that wisdom and folly are so close in proximity, right? In the heights. And with folly, there's even a house, a home that you could. They're so together. They're asking you the same thing. They're proclaiming the same thing. Whoever is simple, let him come here. He'll get wise or he'll get even simpler. Whoever lacks judgment, here, I'll give you judgment. I'll show you how to be a good judge by giving you wisdom, or you will be judged when you show up at that place. I don't mean judge like hellfire and all that. I'm not into that. I believe hell, hell is, that song, Heaven is a Place on Earth? So is hell. Definitely. I've got a video on that. Maybe I'll link it up there or down there or both. So wisdom and folly are very, very close to each other. And folly targets those who make their path straight. There's this idea here that they're just sitting right there next to each other, saying the very same thing. And it's up to us to make a decision on where it is that we go. It's not as if it's so crystal clear. They're both at the same place, saying the same thing. Come on in. And we're only human. We're so freaking human. How are we supposed to know? How are we supposed to know? So the answer, if there is an answer, is I believe in that healthy fear of God. Because, and this I love, Dr. Peterson says, I believe I conduct myself as if God exists, which is wonderful. He recently articulated that further in a talk that I didn't see the whole thing. Maybe I'll link it down there. But even just that statement of I act as if God exists is really wonderful. It really is. I'm sure he got into it a lot more. I didn't see that talk. I will sometime. I think it's there because wisdom and folly are so very close, sending out the same signals, and it's up to us to make the call and see the difference somehow. I think it's by staying true to yourself. When you stay true to yourself, you don't corrupt your values. When you don't corrupt your values, right, in your own integrity and your conscience, when you don't do things that violate who you really feel that you are, and sometimes we do that, but when you don't make a life of it, a habit of it, and when you're able to keep yourself in check sometimes, or all the time, though I don't believe in absolutes, but I think the fact that they're so close together, saying the very same thing, calling in people, first of all, it's interesting to note that they are both in the height. Both of them are high. There's great folly and there's great wisdom. And that whole thing where, the line between crazy and genius, maybe that's not the same. It's not the same. But it's so very subtle. I mean, sometimes there's a glaring Darwin Award folly and great wisdom, which isn't realized until thousands of years later. But it's not an absolute in any way. And it's not, sometimes it's difficult to tell. I think that King Solomon is trying to say, you need to keep yourself in check. You're gonna come across things in life where maybe you won't be able to tell the difference, but for your own healthy intuition, healthy fear of God, right? Of the logos, of the absolute, the greatest good that you can conceive, that whole thing. I feel maybe there's too much Peterson in my speech, but ever since I discovered him, he's really, really become one of my masters. So you'll forgive me for my Peterson banter or things I copy from him. I think that, as I said, you always need to be checking yourself, keeping yourself in check, not in a bad way, in a limiting way, in a curious and explorative and questioning way, in a healthy way. Should I be doing this right now? Simple as that. The question is simple. Grappling with it is another issue. The question is simple. Folly and wisdom are both calling to me, calling to us every second, every interaction. There's some potential of folly and wisdom. And it's up to us to make the call. So we need to have ourselves in tune Getting in tune, right? Like the Who said, right in tune. You need to get yourself in tune with the things that you believe are right, that you believe are correct, that you believe are righteous. So when something veers from that, and the needle starts to kind of swerve, something in you can go, whoa, 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 red flag going up. Even if you choose to ignore it, you want to hone that potential. So maybe next time when that red flag goes up, you won't ignore it. Maybe you'll go for it. Maybe you'll actually be able to resist something, overcome something, act in a positive way, whatever the case may be, where you feel you need to act a certain way according to your own compass, right? Your own conscience. So you need to be checking yourself, not in a bad way, but in a way that reminds you of who you are and what it is you are doing here. First, you need to articulate that to yourself. Nobody can do that for you. Who are you? What is it you are doing here? How do you think you're going to get there? Now go. I mean, I think this is partly why I took my vow, because this hair is something that is a part of me that is growing every single day, uh, that I watched go from regular wavy frizzy hair into locked strands of hair. I've gone through a journey with it, and I've said this many times before. It's just hair, I know, well aware of that. Nevertheless, it's on me, and we've been through a lot, and it's there as a symbol of a covenant that signifies this very thing, which is I want to follow a path of wisdom. I want to be able to tune myself in a way where, should something come my way, I'll be able to kind of gauge myself and maybe in time know how to act in accordance with that intuition. And the woman, right, finds or find, is it a woman who will help you facilitate that? Is it a woman who will fight you just at every turn to challenge you in a horrible way, to make fun of you and drag you down, or to get you to be better? Because just like folly and wisdom, sometimes your woman or your partner, whatever it is, will do both. We're all, I mentioned the book The Way of the Superior Man. I always love rereading that book. I've done that several times. And a couple of times where I only got so much, into it, and then I had to go to a different book. But some chapters there I'll reread again and again. They never stop being right, and they never stop being significant. And I always need to remind myself of the words that are written there in some of those chapters. The woman, I mean, in my case, I've been with my wife for 20 years this summer, and we married a few years later, right? It's our 16th wedding anniversary. And it's been both. Overall, I think that if it wasn't he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. I think that if it wasn't that, in a huge way, I would not have been able to make it this far, because the find moments, right, worse than death, those have been there too. They've been there too. So whether it is that you have someone you're in a union with, an intimate partner, a significant other, or whether you're grappling or you want to express your own femininity more, and you feel like there's something there that you're grappling with, fighting with, struggling with, wrestling with, I really hope that we will be able to find balance and wisdom and gain favor from the Lord. It's not easy sharing a life with someone like a woman or an intimate partner, and it's not easy sharing a life with oneself. That wisdom and folly, the two women at the height of the city who are calling out to me, they're always calling. There's always something that I could be doing. And it's a question of balance. Not half down the line, not 50-50. Hell no. No, you got to be wise. I need to be wiser. But there are times for stupidity, for silliness, but that's also wisdom. So I'm going to say stupidity. Folly, like genuine folly. I know that's wrong, doing it anyway. I'm not, with me, it's just, I can't keep cracking the whip. There are some things which I want to move from folly to wisdom, and I'm working on them. And my wife is helping me out, for sure. She is a finds. Let's have a wonderful Tuesday, a good full moon day, and a beautiful and fruitful continuation of this week. I'll see you Friday. God bless.